All right, good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest, general nature thereof? Seeing none. Reading and confirmation of the minutes of the Council Planning Committee meeting. Resolution is that the minutes of the Council Planning Committee meeting held on October 2nd, 2023 be approved. Councillor Alsop, Councillor Millette, all in favor? That's carried. I have some opening remarks. The public meeting is being heard by the Council Planning Committee, and public notice has been given in accordance with the Planning Act. The citizen appointees joining are Mr. John Baltutis, Mr. Tyler Fenton, and Mr. Paul Jennings. They may ask questions and participate in the discussion to assist in recommendations to City Council, but may not make motions or vote in connection with the public meeting. If a person or public body does not make an oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the Planning Committee or City Council before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of City Council or the Ontario Land Tribunal. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the City of Belleville before the related bylaw is passed, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to add the person or public body as a party. Comments received at this public meeting, as well as written comments, will be considered by the Engineering and Development Services Department in the analysis of the applications that were part of the public meeting tonight. For further information on how to provide comments to the City regarding an application from this public meeting, please email planning@belleville.ca. A recommendation report will be brought forward upon receipt of all agency and public comments in the future. Any persons wishing to be advised of the Council Planning Committee's recommendations regarding today's applications are requested to leave their name and address on the appropriate notification sheet on the clipboard beside the podium. With that, we'll move into the public meeting. 5.1, Notice of Complete Application and Introductory Public Meeting for Proposed Amendment to Zoning Bylaw Number 10-245, 363 Front Street, City of Belleville. Owner is Jennifer Cook. Applicant agent is Cento Commercial Incorporated, and the file number is B-77-1201. If staff could present the application, please.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. The property is located on the east side of Front Street between Victoria Street and Pinnacle Street, municipally known as 363 Front Street. The property is developed with a 3-story mixed-use building, including commercial space on the ground floor and dwelling units above the ground floor, and contains no on-site parking spaces. There are 5 existing dwelling units and a 6th dwelling unit on the 3rd floor that is undergoing a building permit. This application would facilitate the conversion of the portion of the ground floor into a residential unit while maintaining the commercial frontage along Front Street. To facilitate this 7th dwelling unit, the application proposes to rezone the property from the existing general commercial C2-6 zone to a site-specific commercial zone to permit the dwelling unit on the ground floor by maintaining the commercial frontage. The official plan designation of the property is City Center, and it is within the downtown district. And at this time, we have received no correspondence from the public regarding this application. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application? Yeah, if you would come forward, just activate the microphone.
Good evening, everybody. Andre, A-N-D-R-E-I, last name Pershin, P like Peter, E-R-S-H-I-N. I'm a representative of the owner of the building, which is Cento Commercial Incorporated. Sorry, you've called on me to...
If you have any comments or anything else to add, the staff did the presentation, but it's a public meeting, so there's an opportunity to speak to the application. And then if you don't have anything else to add, I can ask committee members if they have any questions.
I think as a planning report, everybody has had a chance to take a look at the planning report. It just adds much needed residential component into downtown core, and we're very much looking forward to sorry, developing that.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from committee members? Councillor Millette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Andre, is it?
Andre, yes.
Yes. Are there any units in the building? And I just as an aside, I think I share some of my fellow council members' feelings that it's great to see this building rehabilitated and some of the work done in similar buildings. Are there any units currently rented and occupied in that building right now?
No, it's been completely gutted.
Okay, so None of the, I believe the report mentioned that there were 5 other units in the residential portion?
There were 5 existing units at some point in time, I think 1964 when they were instated. I'm not sure when they were last time they were actually occupied.
Oh, okay, so
So-
that's not,
It's been vacant for quite some time, yes.
yeah, okay, so to answer my question then, none of the units are they in any state that they can be occupied right now, or are they still in that
No.
very just roughed out?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from committee members? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the application? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition of the application? Yeah, if you could come forward and state your name. Maybe just activate the microphone there as well, button there. Yeah.
My name is Tim Barnes. I'm representing 205-9759 Ontario Limited. It's a property owner. Shareholder is Mark Rashad, and I'm his financial controller. I'm here to basically state that we are objecting to the application because the subject property is just north of our property, and it shares a common right-of-way. So the right-of-way is owned by Mark Rashad's company, and this application, the drawings that were submitted with it, proposes to have a new entrance constructed that would enter onto that right-of-way. So we object that the use of that right-of-way wasn't intended to be public or private entrance into an adjacent building. The right-of-way is supposed to provide free access through that space. And with, as an example today, through the renovations, there was a dumpster that was placed in the laneway, in the right-of-way, that would have prevented access to that proposed entrance. So if we had the same situation, if the approval was granted, and we had a situation where we were required to have a dumpster for renovation, we would be essentially blocking public or the private entrance to that facility. The purpose of that right-of-way wasn't to have the opportunity for a private entrance or exit onto the right-of-way. We're also concerned about potential liability for our company and even for the city to have a private entrance on an area that was supposed to be a driveway. So if we had a tenant in that proposed facility or proposed private apartment, then you would assume that there will be regular ingress and egress out of that doorway onto our property. If there was a vehicle going past and somebody, without having the proper visibility, was inadvertently hit by a vehicle, then that liability would possibly be on us. And we certainly want to avoid that. So I didn't think that the application is going to be using the right-of-way in the way that it was intended. So that is the reason for our objection. Just don't want to see it happen.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Councillor Enright Miller.
Thank you, Chair, through you. Thank you. Just a question, just for clarification. So the right-of-way, does it then access onto Mr. Rajat's property at the back?
Yes, it does.
And is there a spot for the proposed property? Is there any area there that there might be cars parking there? And I know there's no parking included in this, but is there a spot where a car could stop?
The right-of-way empties onto a parking lot.
Okay,
It's not a throughway, but it's a parking lot.
parking lot, okay. And do you currently use that?
For parking, yes. That parking lot is used for our tenants in both 354, 358 Pinnacle and 360 Pinnacle.
Right, but do you use the right-of-way for them to access the parking lot currently?
No, it's
Okay.
not.
Thank you.
Counselor Millet?
Thank you, through you, Chair. I'm noticing on the concept plan and the architectural plans, there's an existing doorway on the ground floor of that same building, some, I guess, 12 and a half by the measurements, feet to the east of the proposed doorway. So have there been any issues with the existing doorway?
I believe that that is a fire exit or an access to a mechanical room. I've been with Mr. Schott for over 12 years, and myself, I've never seen it used.
Okay,
So
all right.
I
thank
would
you.
imagine it is used, but I've never witnessed it being used.
So theoretically, if they just simply eliminated the new door and used that existing door, and there's a door, it's already there.
It's already there, but what's the purpose of the door? If it was for private entrance, then that door would be used multiple times during the day, conceivably.
Okay, then further, if I may, Mr. Chair, you say the alleyway is owned by Mr. Rashat's company?
Yes,
Directly, the entire laneway?
yes.
Interesting, thank you.
Okay, Counselor Alsop?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So two questions. One I'll direct to staff afterwards. But as it relates to that laneway, is there a legal easement in place for the use of that laneway from 363?
I believe there is a legal entitlement to use that laneway for both properties,
So they do have an easement that would allow for the use of it for,
the access to it.
and do you know how far that is? Would it be a 10-foot easement, 4-foot,
It's
whole
about,
laneway?
to my knowledge, I think it's about 10 and a half feet wide. And for the length of the laneway, the length of the building, I don't know, 80 feet, 100 feet maybe.
Okay, thank you. And for staff, I was just wondering if that had been submitted to you in advance of today's proceedings, and if that had any bearing as of right now.
Building was aware, the building section was aware during the previous permits to do the interior work, so, sorry, interior demolition. We're actively investigating it right now, and we'll follow up in the future.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from committee members? No? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Just 1 second, okay, there's only 3 of you in the room there, so, come on up. Just to be clear, this is an opportunity to provide input, but I just don't want to get into an argument of
Nope,
different
correct.
presentation, but if you want to
I just want
respond.
to clarify some of the
Sure.
points brought up by my friend there. So yes, there's an existing right-of-way. The right-of-way shows in favor of 363 Front Street, the legal easement. I do have legal documents to provide to support that. There's also 2 existing entrances and exits into the building, one into the storage unit in the back and one into the building itself. And the door does not lead to mechanical room. While the mechanical room is accessible from that, it leads into the main area of the commercial space. So that door that now opens up into the laneway could very well be used by a commercial space right now. So it's not exclusively used by a mechanical room.
Okay, Counselor Alsop, question?
Thank you, and I do appreciate the clarification there. So that doorway on the side that currently enters into the commercial space, do you know if that was historically used for, unloading and loading goods, that sort of thing?
That's correct. There's an existing archway that looked to be much wider than the door is currently installed. That would accommodate, I imagine, carriages dropping off coal or whatnot into the building, so.
So certainly one would imagine that in the past, there had been shared use of that laneway, and that 363
That's correct.
had a presence in that laneway previously.
That's correct.
Great, thank you.
And the second exit or entrance into the building or the adjacent structure to the buildings in the back, it's an old lean-to structure that was built some years ago, and it has a doorway that, although it's blocked in right now, it's an existing doorway. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, I got a resolution that the Jennifer Cook application B-77-1201 be referred to the regular Planning Advisory Committee meeting for consideration. Moved by Councillor Brown, second by Councillor Alsop. All in favor? That's carried. Move for adjournment for this portion of the meeting. Councillor Alsop, Councillor Enright Miller, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And let me just switch agendas. So we'll move to the Planning Advisory Committee meeting and any disclosure of pecuniary interest, general nature thereof. Seeing none, reading and confirmation of the minutes, that the minutes of the Planning Advisory Committee meeting held on October 2nd, 2023 be approved. Mr. Jennings, Councillor Millette, all in favor? That's carried, thank you. No deputations. Can I get a motion any correspondence received in the City Clerk's office be received? Mr. Baltutis, Councillor Enright Miller, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Referrals from the public meeting. 6.1, notice of complete application and introductory public meeting for proposed amendment to zoning bylaw 10-245, and it's 363 Front Street, City of Belleville. Owner applicant is Cento Commercial Incorporated. File number is B-77-1201. Resolution reads that report number PP-2023-47 dated November 6, 2023 regarding notice of complete application an introductory public meeting for proposed amendment to zoning bylaw number 10-245 as amended, 363 Front Street, City of Belleville, County of Hastings be received as information, and that staff report back at such time as input from the public, commenting agencies, and municipal departments has been received, assessed, and addressed to the satisfaction of the Engineering and Development Services Department. Councillor Alsop, second by Councillor Millette. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Brown.
Thank you. My question is for staff. Do we have any information available on the average retail commercial shop space on Front Street?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Councillor Brown. We do. I don't have it in front of me today. As part of the Consolidated Zoning Bylaw project, we did a review of all downtown buildings and their commercial floor spaces. As part of our review of determining what would be a acceptable amount for potentially including a minimum. If you like, I can put that information together and send it to you. But it would also be part of a future report on the bylaw itself.
Thank you. As a follow-up, and I've expressed this concern before when it comes to downtown, but I think it's worth noting. 633 square foot, I had to convert from meters to foot, old school. 633 square foot retail or commercial space it limits very much in terms of the kind of business that you can put into the space. So I have a concern that we're in a very aged building that I'm so appreciative that it's being renovated, but we're creating a 633 square foot commercial space at the front of it, and whether or not that kind of space is really useful for downtown. Hence my question about, do we have a sense of what the average size is? Again, and disclosure, I don't have the business any longer, but I was in a 1,200 square foot space and begging for somewhere to store things. I can't imagine moving into half that size and being able to put anything into it in a 600 plus square foot space. So hence my concern. So the information, thank you, Thomas, would be helpful in terms of, do we have a sense of what the average space size is in the downtown area? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I got a resolution on the floor. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moving on to report 7.1, staff recommendation report for proposed zoning bylaw amendment for bylaw 10-245, 25 Campbell Street, City of Belleville. Owner is Miracle More Corporation. Applicant is Foten Planning Plus Design, and file number is B-77-1200. Resolution reads that the Planning Advisory Committee recommends the following to City Council: that application B-77-1200 to amend the City of Belleville zoning bylaw number 10-245 as amended for 25 Campbell Street, City of Belleville be approved as follows. That zoning bylaw number 10-245 as amended be amended by rezoning the subject land from general commercial C2-4 zone to general commercial C2-54 zone with special provisions to permit one 55 square meter dwelling unit in the rear portion of the ground floor and to incorporate the zoning relief granted by the C2-4 zone and minor variance file A7-17. Somebody to move that, please. Councillor Alsop, seconded by Mr. Baltutis. Any questions or comments? Seeing, oh, Councillor Millet, sorry.
Sorry, yeah, just a quick observation. And I know that there was some discussion at the last meeting regarding using commercial space for residential. I think I agree with the planning report that this is a good example of use of intensification in an area where it's doable, if for lack of a better word, in a time when we really have a crying need for almost any and every rental space we can. So, you know, especially in the downtown area, I think more people downtown are going to help more commercial places down there, and this is a good example of using space that otherwise may or may not be utilized. So I'm happy to support this. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none. Oh, sorry, Councillor Millet, or Alsop.
It's one of them. Thank you, Chair.
One of
Just a question to staff about the retained portion of the commercial frontage. Looks like here they have 133.9 square meters of commercial frontage, and then 55 would be used as a dwelling unit. Do you know, like with, you know, fire barriers and things of that nature, what the retained portion of commercial would be at the front of that building? Rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah. Sorry, just kind of through the chair to you, Councillor Alsop. Can you just clarify, sorry, what was the exact number you're looking for? The floor area, the commercial area?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I think we have that in the file. I don't have it on hand. It was approximately half of the ground floor area of that floor.
So we're talking approximately 65 square meters, which is about 600 square feet.
Yeah, approximately. Yeah, the ground floor is split into two units already. Previously, there were two office spaces. So the actual partition between the two units is already there. And this would just be converting that office space into a dwelling.
Okay, thank you.
But I can definitely provide you with those numbers.
Please.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Moving on to information matters, official plan and zoning bylaw amendment monitoring report. I have a resolution that the official plan zoning bylaw amendment monitoring report dated November 6, 2023 be received. Mr. Baltutis and Mr. Fenton, any questions or comments? Councillor Millet.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and my question is to whomever and staff can answer. File number B dash 771115, Hanley Park North. I see that, where are we? Waiting for a follow-up from agent. The last activity on this was some 2 years ago, or more, 2.5, almost 3. Do we have any word or anything from Macaulay Shiomi House Unlimited, the agent, on where we might be with that? Just for the edification of anybody who may or may not be familiar, Hanley Park North is an area that's proposed for a new residential subdivision with 156 dwelling units, but it's also cheek by jowl with a very sensitive wetland known as the Bell Creek area. Any word on that to anyone who can answer my question?
Certainly, Councillor Millet. Through the chair, we have been following up with the applicants. I understand that the proponent with Macaulay Shiomi House has moved the file to one of their colleagues. I've sent an email left a follow-up voicemail on it, but I know the outstanding issues there were that we had provided comments on the traffic study and also on the environmental impact study, and we're looking for some follow-up from them on how they would be addressing those comments. So yes, staff is pursuing that at the moment.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I do have a couple with respect to that, staying with the theme of houses. The application B-77-1124, it's Quinny Broadcasting, it's on 174 Maitland Drive. Last activity on that was December 7th, 2020. Waiting on revised application based on MTO comments. Do we have an idea when MTO provided comments, or when they were requested, sorry, from MTO, when they were received, and how long and what's the status going forward?
Certainly, yes. The MTO had provided comments early in the year, and the applicants had reviewed those and provided a revised submission to MTO. MTO subsequently provided additional comments in August, and I believe at this point the proponents have also reached out to their member of provincial parliament to discuss the comments and bring them into the process as well. So at this point they're still trying to finalize their submission with MTO's concurrence.
Okay, thank you. So that one sounds like it's getting a little bit of a roadblock at MTO, pardon the pun. The other one further down is Choice Properties, B-77-1185, and that's a more fresh application, but waiting on some follow-up from the agent. Any idea where we are with that, please?
Certainly, with that one, the agents have been in contact with staff and discussing potential for recommendations for holding zone provisions to be applied to different parts of the property based on servicing. So on that basis, we're still waiting for a revised traffic study and a revised functional servicing report to address that application.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions on the monitoring report? No, seeing none, I got a motion on the floor. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. General business. Any items for general business? Okay, seeing none, provide some closing remarks. The Planning Advisory Committee's applicable decisions will be forwarded to the City Council for consideration, forming part of the agenda for the City Council meeting to be held. And with that, I'll call for adjournment. Councilor Wright Miller, Mr. Jennings, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you.